Listen closely to a story that will chill your bones and warm your heart at the same time. A tale of betrayal so deep that even death couldn't erase its memory, and revenge so sweet that it started with the innocent smile of a 3-year-old child. Imagine dying with your eyes wide open, watching helplessly as everything you loved burned to ashes. That's exactly what happened to her in her first life. The daughter of the prestigious Shah family, raised in luxury and love, never imagining that the people sleeping under her roof were sharpening their knives in the dark. The adopted sister, with tears always ready in her eyes, playing the victim so perfectly that everyone believed her innocent act. The loyal servants who had eaten the family's salt for years, plotting and scheming behind closed doors. Together they wove a web so intricate that by the time she realized what was happening, it was already too late. Her father's business empire crumbled like a house of cards, assets mysteriously disappeared, contracts were breached, partners turned their backs overnight. Her mother, that gentle soul who never hurt a fly, fell ill from the stress and heartbreak. And she, the real daughter, could only watch as wolves in sheep's clothing tore everything apart, piece by piece. The worst part wasn't the loss of wealth or status. No, the cruelest cut was seeing her mother's tears, her father's defeated shoulders, knowing that the hands that destroyed them were the same ones they had fed and sheltered. With love, she died young, filled with regret and burning rage, her last thought a desperate wish for one more chance, just one opportunity to protect what she loved. And then, miracle of miracles, she opened her eyes again. The ceiling above her was familiar yet strange. Her hands were tiny, chubby with baby fat. Her mother's young, unlined face peered down at her with pure joy. She was 3 years old again, standing at the very beginning of the tragedy, armed with 30 years of memories and wisdom. At first, shock paralyzed her. How could this be real? But as days passed and she recognized every small detail, every conversation, every coincidence that would later prove catastrophic, she understood. Heaven had given her a gift, a chance to rewrite destiny. But here's where the story gets interesting. She wasn't some naive child anymore. Inside that adorable little body lived a woman who had seen the absolute worst of human nature. She knew every move they would make before they made it. She understood their weaknesses, their desires, their carefully hidden cruelty, and so she smiled, a sweet, innocent smile that made everyone want to pinch her chubby cheeks. But behind those bright eyes, gears were turning, plans were forming. The lamb had become a lion cub, and no one suspected a thing. The adopted sister arrived right on schedule, brought home by her soft-hearted father who couldn't ignore a crying child at the orphanage gate. Everyone cooed over the poor thing, so thin and pitiful. But she remembered this girl's future face, twisted with greed as she forged documents and stole what wasn't hers. So our little protagonist played her part beautifully. She shared her toys, held her new sister's hand, acted like the perfect loving sibling. But she was watching, always watching, when the sister tried to frame her for breaking mother's precious vase. She had already moved it to a safe place and put a cheap replica in its spot. When the sister cried that she had been pushed down the stairs, there were suddenly witnesses who saw her jump on her own. Each small scheme was dismantled before it could take root, and the beauty of it all, she did it with such innocent charm that no one ever suspected the 3-year-old angel of being a mastermind. The household servants were trickier. They had worked for the family for years, and her father trusted them completely. She remembered how the head butler would eventually siphon money from company accounts, how the housekeeper would sell family secrets to competitors, how they worked together like a well-oiled criminal machine. But a 3-year-old wandering around the house, playing innocent games, could discover all sorts of interesting things. A locked drawer here, a secret meeting there, hushed phone conversations that stopped when adults entered the room. She absorbed it all like a little sponge, building her case brick by brick. When she accidentally left her toy near the butler's office and came back to retrieve it, she might have accidentally pressed a recording device her father used for business meetings. When she played hide and seek and hid in the storage room, she might have accidentally found documents that shouldn't exist. Pure coincidence. Of course, what did a baby know about such adult matters? Her mother was her greatest concern. In the previous life, mother had been too kind, too trusting, too easily manipulated by tears and sob stories. This time, she stayed close to her mother like a little shadow, showering her with innocent love while subtly, carefully opening her eyes to the vipers in their nest. Children see the world differently, and they ask uncomfortable questions that adults are too polite to voice. Why does Auntie Housekeeper always listen at doors? Why does adopted sister only cry when father is watching? Why did Uncle Butler look so angry when he thought no one was seeing? Innocent observations from an innocent child, but they planted seeds of awareness. The real test came when she knew the first major betrayal was approaching. In her previous life, a crucial business deal had been sabotaged, starting the domino effect that led to their ruin. She knew the date, the players, the method, but how could a toddler prevent something so complex? The answer was simpler than expected. She got sick on the exact day her father was supposed to sign the poisoned contract, crying and clinging to him, refusing to let him leave. The deal was postponed, and during that delay, she made sure her toy accidentally rolled near his briefcase, where papers she had carefully taken from the butler's hidden files mysteriously appeared. Papers that showed exactly who was planning to betray them. Her father's face when he read those documents was something she would never forget. Shock, hurt, anger, and finally a cold determination. He investigated quietly, carefully, and what he found made his blood run cold. The conspiracy was even larger than he'd imagined. One by one, the traitors were exposed. The butler who had stolen millions, the housekeeper who sold secrets, the business partners who had already divided the fortune among themselves in their minds, and the adopted sister whose innocent act crumbled when confronted with evidence of her coordination with outside enemies of the family. But here's what made this revenge truly beautiful. She didn't just expose them, she made sure they destroyed themselves. Every piece of evidence they tried to hide became their noose. Every lie they told tangled them further. She simply guided events, a tiny hand pushing dominoes she had carefully arranged. The servants were prosecuted, their theft exposed to all. The adopted sister was returned to the orphanage, her schemes revealed. The business rivals found their own companies investigated, their own crimes coming to light. Justice wasn't just served, it was delivered with interest. Through it all, she maintained her sweet, innocent facade. Who would suspect that a child barely out of diapers could orchestrate such perfect retribution? She was just lucky, people said, just happened to be in the right place at the right time, just happened to have an unusually perceptive nature. Her mother, protected and safe, continued to smile without the shadow of coming tragedy. Her father's business not only survived but flourished, freed from the parasites that had been bleeding it dry. The Shaw family stood strong, their bonds even tighter after surviving the exposed conspiracy, and she, the little angel with chubby cheeks and bright eyes, played with her toys and smiled her mysterious smile. She had been given a second chance, and she had used it to rewrite fate itself. Sometimes the most brutal revenge comes not from anger and violence, but from cold calculation and perfect timing. Sometimes the sweetest face hides the sharpest mind, and sometimes, just sometimes, the universe gives us exactly what we need to protect those we love. This is a story of rebirth, revenge, and redemption, a reminder that underestimating someone based on appearance is the first step toward downfall, and a testament to the power of a second chance in the hands of someone who knows exactly what to do with it. The little girl with the innocent smile had saved her family, destroyed her enemies, and secured her future, all before she was old enough for kindergarten. Now that's what you call a perfect victory.